Welcome to the After Hour. I'm your host, Rob Blue, man. We're back with another one. We're here at Barber Shop, man, with my man Coco. We had a really dope, in-depth sit-down talking about how his dreams got turned into a reality through hard work, through perseverance. And it was a great sit-down, man. I'm really excited about this. This is one of the people that we crowned as the people's champ, man. Someone that born and raised in Boston, had dreams of playing ball, and now ironically, he's cutting about all of the Celtics, you know what I mean? So it's really dope to see these dreams flourish, and that's what we're all about. We're all about sharing these stories, inspiring the next generation, and that's why we're here, man. Once again, I'm your host, Rob Blue. You're about to tune into a dope episode, man. This is episode Coco, man. That's what we're going to call it, man. Coco, man. That's my dog. So we here, After Hour. Follow us on the afterhour.tv. You already see we rocking, man. The After Hour logo caps. Make sure you get yours. And we are here, man, the afterhour.tv. Stay locked in. This is what we do. Get it. Welcome to the After Hour. It's your host, Rob Blue. I got my mans in the building.
It's Biggs, back at it again.
You know, feels good to be back, bro.
Definitely feels good to be back. Refreshing.
Yeah.
We're here with a special guest.
Oh, yeah,
Honored
definitely.
to be here right now.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that for sure.
For sure.
I mean, it's been a hiatus, you know what I mean? But we've been grinding. We've been doing a lot of things. We have our After Hour Fitness that's been rocking. We celebrated a year of that. You know what I mean?
Tell me some more about that.
I mean, we're bringing a lot of top trainers around the city and around Massachusetts. It's free Zumba, yoga, personal training, free smoothie bar, free food. So it's a great time and people are loving it. We had our first annual basketball tournament. That was a huge success. Shout out to my boy, Terrence Clark, man. All-American, McDonald's All-American, going to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So it was a powerful thing, man, bringing all the top young players from around the city to come play in the neighborhood. So
I'm gonna have to call you out, bro. You downplaying this. This is bigger than
go ahead, because you know how it is, man.
He's kind of downplaying it. You know, he's definitely impacting the community in a positive way. What he's doing, a lot of people don't go out their way to do at all. I'm gonna need you to talk about the premise, what sparked the idea for you to even get involved in the community and giving back, because you've literally just been giving this whole time.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, my thing is, like, I always want to make an impact. You know what I mean? That was like my main thing. Like, growing up in the hood, like, I seen what have not is, and I seen what just a little bit can do that can spark you. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to my dad who had an AAU team. Like, he had us traveling around the world, you know what I mean? Just playing basketball, going to Vegas, New York, Washington, like all these other places, Oklahoma, wild places, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I seen what that impact was, and I'm like, all right, I want to make that type of impact, but in so many different areas where health and fitness, basketball, mental health, like all these things that we deal with, I wanted to be able to put that to the forefront. And you can still turn up and have a good time. We had our after party, all that. So it's like, we are diverse people, and that's why I feel like we represent. You know what I mean? We're not trying to be something we're not, but like, let's tap into and talk about health and wellness. Let's talk about mental health. Let's create a platform for these young kids where 10 to 15 years later, they have those. We did a live draft for the tournament. Like, they can go back with their kids and watch them doing a live draft when they was in high school, or watch them when they was in 4th grade playing against the other top 4th graders. So it is creating a platform and just impacting the city. You know what I mean? But 2020, man, we onto some lit shit, man. We gonna keep this thing going. We got a lot of things in store, and one thing we want to make sure to do is to bring back this After Hour platform and start off with a bang. You know what I mean?
People definitely been asking for it, so it's only backed by popular demand.
For sure, and we on location though. You see, we not in the studio. We switching things up. You know what I mean? We'll talk about where we at right now, and I want to introduce our first guest of 2020, man. It's an honor.
It's a big one.
It's a big one, man. And me and this individual, we've been in contact for a while, but I feel like it's all about timing.
Yes.
It's all about timing, and it's a beautiful time that we're in his establishment. This is his work of business. You see all this hard work.
Space.
Beautiful.
Y'all only seen a sample size. Y'all can see the back, but this is a beautiful space, right?
You know what I mean? And so we're gonna talk about it, man. We got one of the best barbers in the state, in the country. You know what I mean? He be humble about it. We're going to make sure to give him his roses.
I hope he's not humble.
We're going to give him his roses while he's here. You know what I mean? So he's a person in the community. He's all about giving back. He's all about helping and being humble and sharing advice and sharing how he got to where he was. So without further introduction, man, my man Coco, we got him in the building. Yeah, you know it.
Yo, thank you for having us, man. Appreciate it.
It's amazing to have him here. You know what I mean? And like we always do, we would like to go back before we go forward. You know what I mean? So, but one thing I want you to do is to tell the people who you are. So, who is Coco?
Coco is, I mean, I just consider myself as a regular guy. I'm a barber. I play basketball. I'm really in touch with all the people that I deal with every day and people that I've dealt with in past days. I'm a family man. I'm just a guy just trying to make it and trying to bring everybody along for the ride as much as I can. You know, you can't bring everybody along, but you know how it is. That's me.
Yeah. Can we call you the official barber for the Celtics? Is that a good time? Is that a
So I guess the only degree of separation from me being the official barber from the Celtics and having that title is about maybe 4 guys and maybe a stamp from the back office.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably the difference. But I feel like, you know, not having that title and me being just the barber who cuts a lot of the players has opened a lot of doors for me. And like you guys said, I mean, I had to remain humble in that situation because when you're starting out, you probably, you know, you look for that type of title and stamp and recognition because you feel like it's going to bring you to a place that, you know, is bigger, you know, raise your ceiling. But I used the interaction with that and, you know, my growth with the players individually and not so much on a super professional level as a platform. I became the catalyst for a lot of people to reach out and tap into them in the city where they are movie stars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely not the official barber of the Celtics, but you know, with all due respect, I do cut 14, 15 out of 18 guys.
Man, you're the official, man.
Right,
you're the hood logo for us, man. You know what I mean? Like when we see that, like we have so much pride and we're happy. You know what I mean? Like one of us is in there doing the thing, representing well. I mean, and that doesn't define you, but we just want to make sure to highlight that because that's big. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like, and I'm happy you just say that. You know, that doesn't define you because, you know, sometimes we get attached to these titles and attachment, but you're much bigger than just a Celtics barber. Obviously, you that Celtics barber, but you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. You know, you empower people, and so forth.
Yep.
So take us back to the beginning, before all of this. You know what I mean? So how was your upbringing? Where did you grow up? How was it growing up for you?
So I guess if you wanna take it back, like preschool era, like I was living in Boston, Dorchester with my mom. I lived on Adams Street, and we had it pretty tough. My mom had me when she was 15, and she moved out of Watertown where her parents originally resided, and you know she just tried to make a upcoming for herself, and she thugged it out in probably some of the toughest areas as we knew it then. You know, a lot of things have changed over the past 20, 30 years.
Definitely.
But you know, coming from that and then having to move with my grandparents back up to Watertown so that my mom gave me a better opportunity to, you know, to grow and excel. And, you know, it was a crazy transition from both places, but, you know, I respect where I came from and all of the above. So moving into like elementary, I was in Watertown from like kindergarten. Well, it was supposed to be kindergarten. I ended up skipping kindergarten because my grandfather taught me how to read and write when I was 4 using video games. So video games are not always the worst thing in the world.
Sure.
But yeah, so you know, I skipped kindergarten. I ended up being in elementary school for 4 years of my life in Watertown. Moved to Newton for a year, and after I moved from Newton, it was 1 year, and I finally felt like I was like, you know, I was in a place where I was happy. I'm in 6th grade. I was about to be in 6th grade. So you go into middle school, and my mom told me the day that I finished school, June 20th, she was like, all right, let's go. You know, you're packing up your stuff, and we're moving to Waltham. So I moved into Waltham, and
before we go there, all right. So you in elementary. Well, you in what's that? Middle school, elementary school.
Yeah, elementary.
Grade school, whatever you want to call it, right? Teachers always say, all right, class, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you write on that paper back in the day?
Me, I wanted to be just like my grandfather. I didn't really have a specific title for a career, but I just wanted to be just like my grandfather. That was it, because he was the one that raised me. When my mom, you know, sent me back up to Watertown, I got the feel for, obviously, you know, I was in a pretty hard place, and then I came up, and your grandparents, they always get to tune in with you and spoil you and treat you the way that your parents maybe not had the opportunity to do. And so like that was like my world. I just wanted to be just like him.
And what did he like represent to you?
So he was a carpenter, but he was an artist. So just because he worked his job, he didn't like confine himself to I do woodwork. He painted. He made beautiful paintings, abstract paintings, and he collected like hand tailored knives from different places. He was just a real different dude, but he's the reason why I'm so humble and understanding, and I kind of just like I like for everybody to be happy. Like I got all that from him. So that was really that was it. Carpenter, artist, like he's just a good dude. Oh, tattoo artist, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. He when I was 15, he started doing all my tattoos. I started going nutty. That's why I look like a messed up color. But that was it.
That's what's up. Sorry about that. So that's funny that you mentioned the artist side of your grandfather, because I always wondered what inspired barbers to begin with, from like because I have my own barber. I've had family members that they cut, you know what I mean, and my cousin, he's an artist. Right. He draws, he paints. So like, what inspired you to even think of picking up clippers?
So it's crazy, as much inspiration as I took from him being an artist, there was the downside. Like, my handwriting is awful.
Shout out, me too.
To this day?
To this day. I cannot draw a stick figure.
Yeah, we're the same.
I cannot draw a circle stick figure. So, like, I never would have thought that I would have been doing something that was so, like, artistic per se. And I look around and I see a lot of barbers who are very advantageous because of their art background.
Okay.
And then I also see things that separate them from me because of me just being maybe a meticulous, self-judgmental person. I want everybody to look at me in a certain light. So when you walk out of the chair, that's a reflection of me.
Absolutely.
So I picked up all of that, and it had nothing to do with art. At the time, I was just like, I was strung up about what I was gonna do, and I was 15, and I started really paying attention to my hair, which is gone. You know what I'm saying? It's funny that I lost it pretty early. My hair was thin early, but I started going to the barber shop when I was like 15, and I was a city kid. I was all around the city, going to the Boys and Girls Club, playing ball. I was active. I wouldn't come into the house even when I was a kid until 10 o'clock at night. They would have to scream for me. And when I got here and I started really paying attention to my cut, I was chubby, so I was a little self-conscious, but I was fresh. Like, I always had my sense of style. I was in 9th grade, and I was wearing Bape and Air Forces and all this other stuff.
I mean, it's the chubby crew thing, like we all
some big transformation.
Yeah, that's what we do. So
we
we in the right club. We know how
transformation.
All fly though, for sure.
Yep. Right. So that was like, that was pretty big for me. And just being the kid that's going to the barbershop now I'm spending time at the barbershop, and I met some Dominican guys that could really cut.
Sorry to cut you off. What age was this?
This was 15,
okay,
16.
Okay.
So, style, fashion, that all comes into play with your hair.
You were in Waltham at this time?
Yup, I was in Waltham at this time.
Okay.
And I started going to the Dominican guys, and they would chop me, and I met this one dude in particular, and he kind of was the most Americanized one out of all of them. And he had a young son, and I would come to the barbershop, I would talk to them, help them out, whatever, sweep, and take care of whatever. And I would just leave and come as I go, and I just became widely accepted. Now, they opened another barbershop down the street. They're still here, Los Primos barbershops. And I started to just, flow into both shops, and fast forward past high school, it was like, okay, like, at this time I wasn't thinking anything about cutting. I wasn't, my mind wasn't on cutting. College was when it all really started.
Okay.
So I fell in love with basketball probably when I was 12, Allen Iverson and all that stuff, we all did.
For sure.
But I was unathletic. I wasn't that great at basketball. So it wasn't really like, that wasn't going to be my push. I knew I wasn't going to the league. Even though in my yearbook, I wanted to play for the Phoenix Suns. I thought I was Sean Marion. It's a shoot from the chest, from the waist. So it was kind of more or less like a thing that fast forward to college, I went there, and after not making the high school basketball team, I went to Mass Bay and Wellesley, and I met like Coach Rayner, and I met a couple of other guys that you guys all probably know, Mikael Rubin, Jamal Judge, Jakeem Cobb, like those guys right there, they encouraged me and they helped me like get past a lack of knowledge for basketball, and I made the college team. I just walked onto a college team, like a chubby white boy, Spanish dude, just walk onto a college team, and fast forward a couple months, I'm back and forth with going to school, which I was always kind of intelligent, educated, whatever, but a lot of people who are similar to me, creators, they know that your mind gets like caught up with a lot of stuff. So my attention span was bad. So I could retain and reciprocate, but in order for me to like to just do schoolwork, like I can write a great paper, but I'm not gonna be in class. Like I don't like homework. I don't want to do homework. I got other things in my life that I love and that I want to deal with. And thank God things are kind of coming full motion in the world, and things are becoming a little bit more liberal in terms of education. But that really sparked something in me. I was going from basketball practice to the barbershop. So 5 o'clock I would go to the barbershop, sit in, I would steal blades from the guys, I would sweep, whatever, and then I would come back to school, and the break periods at the cafeteria, I was pretty cool with everybody. It was real personable, hello, hi. I started to promote to guys like, I'll do a $10 haircut. Wow. So I was doing cuts outside the back of Mass Bay. Wow. And so the people there, the lunch people, they're all looking at me. A couple times I'll leave blades outside.
So you really outside?
Oh, what? I'm outside, like out in the back of the calf, like chopping people before basketball practice, lining dudes up. And, it just kind of sparked from there. Fast forward maybe like a month or two, I met my wife. Well, I didn't know she was my wife then, but I met her, and things kind of went as they went, and I kind of got out of touch with school because I was so passionate about cutting hair, and I'm a moneymaker. Like I was always on go. I was always a hustler since I was little. Like I just always tried to find something and sell it for a profit, and that was just the way that my mind worked. So I started to just like I started to hedge away from school. I ended up leaving college, and I fully pursued the haircutting thing. And a couple months later, me and my wife found out. At the time, we found out that we were gonna have our first son, and I was about to be 19, and she was about to be 16. You know what I'm saying? So we were young. Like it was like two ends, like senior freshman type of love. We met in the summertime, and then things kind of went crazy from there. And
before we keep going real quick, so all right, that first haircut, so you were offering out cuts. Cause I used to like, all right, before the club, college, everyone was broke, you feel what I'm saying? So it's like, I used to like cut people and give lineups and stuff like that. So how was that for you? Like you obviously offering it, but that first person that was like, all right, let's do it. Like, did you have the nerves? Were you just like fully confident? Like, all right, I'm about to shuffle them up. Like, what was that mindset you had?
I was just guess. It was just like look at what I saw at the barbershop and try to reciprocate it. And
how was it? How did it come out?
How did it come out?
It wasn't terrible. Like, it wasn't bad, but I will say like I have a lot of friends who I owe a lot of my growth to, and they know that there was some stuff that wasn't always like, you weren't just gonna walk out and be like, damn, who cut you? It was like, damn, who cut you? That was a separation from it. But like, it was just having the idea of what I like. I could go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to put my hands to the test to try to reciprocate what I like, and maybe somebody else will like it too. I thought that my sense of style and my sense of fashion and my sense of like what somebody's supposed to look like, I thought it was all intact. And, everything from there just kind of just flew.
When did that, because you say you were always a hustler, so did that continue a hustle till later to become a passion? Or like when those first couple cuts, you was like, okay, maybe this is something I really enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, what was that feeling like?
Like it was a little bit frustrating at first, but the sense of like instant gratification, instant satisfaction. When you start a haircut, you know, unless you're terrible or unless you're really learning or unless you're really focal, the most you're gonna take is 2.5. I've taken a little 3-hour haircut before. Yeah. You don't want to know what that was like. And so like just the instant satisfaction. You finish your haircut, you finish a product, and you feel good about it. It ain't like you got to go to school for a year and then, you know, get something. No, you do your cut and you either get paid or somebody enjoys it right away. So that kept driving me. Just like when you make a sale, I used to sell cell phones, sneakers, everything. When I made that sale and somebody gave me credit for them being fresh or for them being able to communicate, like that was great to me. So I was always chasing that next sale. I was always on that. So this was quick turnaround. No brainer for me.
Okay. And to go back to, like, you know, you and your wife having a kid at such a young age, it's funny because I was talking to one of my mans earlier about this. Is like, I tell myself I don't want to wait to have a kid to turn me into a monster. How was that? Like, did that shit just turn you into a monster? Like, yo, I gotta go get it right now. Like, what was the, you know, residual effects after you found out that you had a kid on the way?
So I will say, like, it was nerve-wracking. It was nuts, but it also made me buckle down. And support system is everything. I will tell you that. You know, whether you're thinking about, you know, starting a family or not, support system is everything. So whoever you got with you, especially at a young age like that, is like, you know, you have to make sure that everybody is a unit. Yeah. In order for me to be able to continue to grow and express myself and learn and be able to one day provide for them.
How did that affect you? Because, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, unless you're in the thick of things, unless you're out there putting yourself out there, betting on yourself, you know, a lot of people can't relate to that. They don't know the sacrifices that's being made. Like, how did that affect your relationships? You know, I mean, when you start to chase your passion, when the kid was on the way, like, you mentioned that you had a support system. Who was there for you?
Yeah, so
what support system do you have?
So mostly my mom and my grandparents. Like, obviously my wife was still in high school, and I was trying to make something happen for her. So, you know, for me to be able to still chase my dreams, my mom and my grandmother and everybody, we all just chipped in. It was just all one unit. Now, affecting relationships was easy. Like, it ruined, like, you know, it ruined a lot of stuff that I kind of was thinking about at the time, just because I was young and stubborn. So I'm really focused on what I wanted to accomplish or achieve, and I also want to take care of what I got going on at home. But, you know, we're young, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's like, okay, now if support can be great, but can also turn into a cushion. Support can become bad. It can become enabling. So if you're young and you think that your back's against the wall and you try to channel it incorrectly, you can come out with a whole bunch of messed up relationships that you wish that you were able to salvage at that time. Thank God I consider myself special. You know what I mean? Like, I was able to not tarnish anything that was important in my growth. But instead I learned a lot, and maybe because of I consider myself a pretty good person. Like, I'm pretty transparent. So with all of that, it was like, you know, my mother and my grandmother and my wife's mom and you know, her situation and her having not only her but another child that's the same age as my child to come. Like, my wife and her mom were pregnant at the same time. So go ahead and think about that. You know, there's one person who's starting a family at an adequate time, you know, in its own divine right, because only God knows. But it's like, you know, now you're a grandmother, but your daughter is becoming a mother, so you got to take care of your kid and help with her. It was nutty. But, like, I'm the type of person that since I was young, I was always a progressive thinker. So any failure, I'm super unorganized, like I told you. So I lost money. I'll make money, I'll lose money. I give money away. I'll lose my wallet. But from losing so much, they used to get mad because I leave my clothes at the park when I was a kid. You lose so much But the one thing that you can learn is to lose. If you can learn to lose and you can roll with the punches, the only thing you can do is grow and win.
For sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm used to taking an L, so I know I'm gonna bounce back, and I'm not even gonna. Okay, I'm gonna shrug it off. That's it. And that's just how it worked. That's how it went.
So when did that not hobby, but when did that hustle become that passion? Like when was that switch? Because that's always an interesting thing.
And another, like, it seems like you're very intuitive. You mentioned your grandfather, like, you're very grounded. Did that come from someone that was a mentor, someone that was walking you through the process, or was you just always intuitive and self-aware of yourself and how you're intentional in the way you want to move and how you want to leave impressions on people, you know what I mean?
So it started to grow more when I became less careless. But, you know, obviously being intuitive and being all of those things and being grounded, like, yeah, they came from me and from the losses I may have took and the way that I bounced back from them. But a lot of it really came, like I said, from the differentials of support system. So my dad is a hustler. My dad is a grinder. Like, you know, he worked at a pizza shop in this same city as a delivery boy, and then he became a landscaper or something else, and now he's a property manager. You know, like, but in the midst of all of that, he never let any of that like stop him, and he never let it like confine him to what he was doing. So maybe I just get that nature from him. And then having the soft support system of my grandfather and my grandmother. My grandfather was like just an encouraging, he's a soft-spoken man. So getting a little bit of that. And then my mom is high-strung. She's like down your throat. And you know, it all just plays a different role. I got crazy Italian family. I got calm family. I got crazy Dominican family. So it all just made me one. But the biggest thing was my independence. Me being able to, like I told you, when I skipped kindergarten, going into second grade, like my teachers always told my parents and my grandparents like how personable I was, and don't let the school system and their stigmas, don't let them think that he has to be any different. Don't let them make you think that. Don't ever vouch for medication or anything like that, because like I said, I was unorganized, I was scatterbrained or whatever. So it was just like, you know, it was all part of that.
And when did that switch happen for you?
So the switch, like, you mean the switch in terms of like professionally, or you mean like when I started to really become less careless?
No, but like your profession, because I feel like in every entrepreneur we have that switch or that turning moment.
Right. So the groundbreaking moment was, I think it came in 3 phases, if you would. So, you know, 19, I really buckled down, kid on the way, got the license, and you know, then I jumped from one barbershop to the next with the same common goal. I wanted to reach the barbershop that I fell in love with when I first, like, that was where I wanted to work. Los Primos barbershop in Waltham. That's what I wanted. And so I went from Sule's barbershop, who was the cheapest barbershop in Waltham. Then I went to Just Cuts barbershop, who was, you know, when I was young, they were the best barbershop, but then the Spanish dudes came and people started dealing with the blade. So I went from them, and I maintained pretty good relationships. Maybe I didn't leave the way that I was supposed to, but I was young, and they knew I was cool anyway. So, you know, they're like, okay, whatever. He's ambitious. He's ambitious, and he is where he wanted to be. Fast forward, I went into Los Primos. I was like 20 years old, and all of the ownership was different now. It was, everybody changed, but I still wanted to be at that place. It was booming. So a guy who was of no kin to me, he wasn't nobody that, you know, had any influence in my cutting hair. His name was Francisco. He's the owner of Los Primos 3 right now, and Los Maestros barbershop on Moody Street as well. So he kind of like embraced me. He was a brand new owner, and he didn't really see the silver lining. Like, he didn't see what I may have been or what I could have been, but I was so persistent that he couldn't turn me away. And there was an old guy named Rubio, father of the dude who really influenced me cutting hair, and he was like, he had a soft spot for me, so he would feed me at the barbershop and make sure that they regarded me. So from there, it was just like, okay, that's phase 1. Now I'm in. Now they're giving me the opportunity to take their clients and ruin them or do them right. they're taking me in the middle of haircuts and stopping me and bringing me to the back, making me feel uncomfortable. So I'm under pressure now.
What?
I'm under siege. So, boom, that all helped me. I'm watching some of the best barbers that we knew at that time. Like in this area, they really set some stuff off. We didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Like the first Celtics barber, the first like guy that really cut the Celtics was up there.
Okay.
So this was around that same time. So I'm watching this stuff, and I'm one of the only guys on that street out of 3. Now we're talking about 15 barbers. I'm 1 out of 3 to 4 that speak English.
Wow. Okay.
So hold on, I gotta bring back the other part. All right, so you cutting hair right now, and in the middle of the cut, they're
Stopping me in the middle of the cut. Mind you, this is after they're already yelling at me like, you don't understand? Like you're not getting what I'm telling you?
Why are they stopping you though? Were you messing up the cut? Like what's
well,
going on?
What was the guy in the chair?
That's what I'm saying. Like if he stopped, like yo.
Well, that's what it was.
First
Sometimes
off,
I'm cutting somebody
who
who speaks Spanish or speak English. Regardless of the case, like this is international. Like you just see how red I'm coming. I turn red off of anything. So they see how this is happening, and I'm just like, okay, man, like this. Now I'm sweating. Now I'm under. Now I'm like, okay, I'm about to fold.
Yeah.
But when it was all said and done, they put me to the side, and I just kept watching. I kept watching. But yeah, being under siege, that is not fun. But it also molded a lot of the way that I was able to teach. And it also molded the way that I was able to learn, because some of the stuff that they were shoving down my throat through trial and error, pause, Jesus, cut that one out. Jesus. So everything that they were trying to instill
for sure.
was all like, I got to choose what I liked and what I didn't like out of it.
Yeah.
And that's really a lot of like the beginning stages of molding me. There was another barber that worked there. He was the fastest barber on the street, and he was the best at shaving. And the guy that was the owner was the best at cutting scissors, but he couldn't shave for his life. And the guy who I originally aspired to learn from, he was the fade king. Everybody, if you were in 2005 to 2009, 2010, and you didn't get cut by Gordo or Morenito, you wasn't getting a cut. You wasn't getting fired. And then Jacob, like those guys, like you wasn't getting a cut unless it was from those guys.
Yeah.
And so I got to really take what I wanted from the best scissor guy, the best fade guy, the best blade guy, and I got to be the transformer. You know what I mean? Like in my mind, that's what I strive for. And through all of that, I got to trial and error with the machines I liked, what I didn't like, and all so on and so forth.
Because it's always the Biggs knows too. We all know. Like, he had a barbershop where when you got the new guy, nobody wants to go to the new guy.
Not at all.
Nobody wants to go to the He could be nice, but you can't take that risk. You about to go out Saturday night. You're like, yeah, you can go to my man's right here. Like, how was that for you? Did you have to start building your own clientele?
Yes, I did, but the only thing that made it like a landslide and why I grew and built so fast was not only I was bilingual, but my demeanor, the way that I carried myself. I looked like personable to people that could relate to me. I wasn't just the same as the rest of the guys working there. I didn't dress just the same as them. I didn't talk just the same as them. So all the people that weren't of a certain demographic, they started to come my way. And it's just like when you do anything, you start to pick it up. So if I did it good this time, I'm gonna do it better the next time. So once I started to grab people, it just became like, okay, 1 year has passed, and now I moved from the sixth chair to the 4th, and then in less than half a year, I moved to the 2nd chair.
Explain that. Break that down.
So what's that a lot of the times in barbershop world, the closer you are to the window, the better you are. Or like you're the primary, you're the premier.
Wow.
And that's usually a lot of times the owner too.
Yep. A lot of times it'll be the owner.
I just realized that.
Yeah.
Now I think about it, it's always the owner at the.
And what you will know as an owner, or you'll start to dissect. Maybe if you look into barbershop owners who are kind of, a little bit more intellectual, they'll take it and they'll look at their business standpoint and they'll say, I'm going to put my best barber in the front, and I'm going to take the back seat because I want my barbers to cut. Every dollar they make, I'm making $1. So I want them to be the highlight of this. I want them to be the center of this. So the owner, he went from the 2nd chair and he put himself in the 5th chair and he put me in the 2nd chair. So now I'm cutting next to the fastest guy, the guy that is the blade guy.
Yeah.
So now, not only, you're an assembly line, so you're in competition. If you chefing up fire, I'm chefing up fire.
Definitely.
I gotta do it.
Yeah.
It has to be like that.
So you do pay attention to other barbers as they cutting, like, oh, this dude doing some fire right now. I gotta go hard.
I didn't create this. I didn't start this art.
Yeah.
I'm taking it from people who have done it before me.
Okay.
So to see somebody who already has a system set out, and for me to be able to go, I call it stealing.
Yeah.
If I can go out and steal that, and I can make it my own, and I can hone it, then who can stop me?
So once you're in that second chair, so you know that you're escalating and perfecting your craft.
Yeah.
Like, is that when you're like, when your goals started to like increase in your mindset of like the possibilities or where you want to take it? When did that start to taking place?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does naturally, but at the same time,
Because you reached your peak. Not to cut you off, but you told, listen, I want to make it here,
Yup.
and now you here, and you the second chair. Now it's like
that's what it was. So reaching your peak, and then you start to kind of plateau at the peak. It makes you start to question your value and what you could do next. So, although I was giving out good cuts, and now the people that are next to me are looking at me crazy because all these people are willing to pay me more money now. Not even because of my cut, because of my conversation. They were sitting here talking to me, and now they want to give me 30 for a cut when it costs 15.
Wow.
And so now it's just like, okay, so how can I take this to the next level? Not only that, in the meantime, I'm working at a barbershop where it's commission based.
Okay.
Like I just told you, every cut,
He makes $1.
every cut, he makes
Is that
$1.
every barbershop?
Not every barbershop. There's a lot of, barbershops are still in like transition. It's a big transition world right now. So there's some barbershops that are still rent based, but
Okay.
real estate's changing all over the world. So
Yeah.
you can't get a place that you can rent out anymore for $1,000 a month and put 10 people in it times 250 and call it, I'm making all this times 4 weeks. Nah. Now it's like, okay, rent is $3,000 and you got to make ends meet. I'm not putting a ceiling on my money. I'm not putting a cap on my money and letting you come in here and run amok. At the time, maybe I understood that, but for myself, nobody was gonna. I've never been the type of person that you could just tell them what to do. I always was gonna do. Maybe I would tweak what you told me to do, but I always was gonna do what I had in my mind, my vision. And my sons have become like that. Like I see that all over them, and it's like I was like right on the cusp of wanting to leave but having to stay, and he was really mad at me because I love hoop. I'm going to college basketball runs, playing open run, playing in leagues, and man, I'm trying to be a full-time barber, full-time hooper, and still, have a family and still do all of this stuff. And of course, it's gonna affect somebody.
For sure.
And it affected ownership. And thank God he had a soft spot for me.
So, like, he was feeling some type of way because he wasn't getting you in the barber for some more, like, obviously now you're the highest talent.
Right.
Even if they won't tell you.
Right.
They expressing it by feeling some type of way.
For sure.
So, like, what was that about? Like he wanted you to be there for more hours or something?
There's one thing that I did learn, and there's one thing that I had a hard time accepting, and now that I'm a little bit older, I can, is that most people are always going to protect their best interest. Me, sometimes I'm looking out for mine and somebody else's accommodatively. But most people are looking out for their best interest. So if you're hurting his monthly income, or not even hurting it, but putting a stamp on it, then, there's going to be some type of tussle.
Cause and effect.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, in the midst of all this, like I told you, I'm still trying to protect my merchandise. I'm still trying to make money other ways. And I'm telling them that, I'm like, bro, I'm not like you guys. This is not the only thing that I'm good at. This is not the only thing that I'm allowed to do. So
And that's intimidating for a lot of people.
a lot of people.
Absolutely. People like to box you in.
For sure.
Like,
Because
this
they're
is all
boxed in.
Yeah. No, because that's what they're exposed to. They see you in a certain environment. He wasn't with you balling. He wasn't with you in different environments that you were in when you go getting in other environments. So when they're used to seeing you in a specific environment, they just box you. No, you're just a barber.
Or it's like, it's also subconscious too, because they think of themselves in a certain way. Like, barber just may be their top thing. You feel what I'm saying? Where he's more diverse in so many different things, and people can be intimidated by that because, like, damn, like, he's good at this, but he's also good at this, and people like him, and You know what I mean? So
And to go back to that, like, you know, one thing, you know, before even meeting you, what I was inspired by when Rob was telling me is the fact that, you know, you're in a position to empower people. Like, I respect people that's willing to teach. You know, I got people that believe, you know, the game is to be sold, not to be told. You know what I mean? Like, the more you empower people around you, the more you could be empowered. You know what I mean? Like, the analogy of, like, if I make you a millionaire, if I make all my friends a millionaire, my network, I will always be a millionaire. Because if I go broke, I could always reach out to the people I help empower them. So, like, did you feel in that moment when he started to feel some type of way that he was trying to, like, you know, pigeonhole you? Like, we talked about being boxed in. It seems like he wasn't like receptive to you doing other shit. Do you feel like it was one of those situations?
And did that force you to hit another gear?
In retrospect, he had such a soft spot for me, and he treated me so like you know, like a nephew or a son or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That I never saw that bad intention on him.
Okay.
So it didn't really make me feel bad. And you know what I learned is if you're working in 900 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be influential. So if you have an employee who feels some type of way about the way that you operate, they're going to reciprocate that.
Yeah.
And the owner is going to feel as if he has to reprimand you, or as if they have to, you know, put a stronghold on you because of the way that the other employees are seeing you operate.
Wow.
That's true.
I didn't let it happen. I just laughed it off, or you know, we get in our arguments. And I'm like, all right, whatever, just get rid of me, whatever. But we developed this relationship where it was like we were like a family. We would feed each other, we would eat together.
Yeah.
So he didn't just like, you know, up and get rid of me.
Okay.
Now, when I did hit that second gear, it was negative because, mind you, now I'm 22 years old. I've been at this barbershop 3.5, almost 4 years, and I'm seeing other doors open. You know, when you're 21, 22, and you're dealing with people from Boston, Brighton, Newton, whatever, you're gonna start to see doors open up, and not every door is a positive door.
For sure. Yeah.
So maybe I channeled my energy in a direction that wasn't fully for me. And when I did that, I moved to a different barbershop. I left. I went to a place that was charging rent. In Brighton, VIP barbershop on Harvard Ave. Now, something that inspired me about these guys is that they were like a family. Like they weren't talking about each other. They were just working together. And so I went to cut there. But being able to go pay my rent and have that relationship and all these people from all around, and now when they're coming in, now they're starting to get the same. I'm starting to get the same feedback. Like, wow, this kid can cut, and he can cut fast, and he can cut clean. So now people are starting to look for me. But since I had that little bit of freedom, I'm the type of person, I like my liberty. Don't restrict me, but gotta pull the leash a little bit. You know what I mean? You have to pull it a little bit. So they didn't pull the leash on me, and it allowed me to get outside of my means. I started to deal with things that maybe I just wasn't built for, you know what I mean? And just thinking that I had to make a better life for my family, or try to make money so that I keep going, you end up getting blinded by it. Fast forward maybe like 2, 3 years after that, back is against the wall. Now you notice that everything that you thought that you built is no, there's no stability here. It's destructible. Now, I always felt as if I was so great at cutting hair in my mind. Like, I knew that my work was, because people would come get a cut by me and leave, and maybe I'd ignore them for 3-4 months. But when I came back in 5 months, they're coming. They're coming because I made them look different than somebody else did, and to a way that they liked. So we're gonna fast forward right past, you know, 24 to 26, like 23 to 26, like was just it was an RE time for me, but it helped me get tight. Now my wife, in the midst of a lot of turmoil, she became pregnant again. So I was about to have my second son. So now this is another time where I'm saying, okay, you know, I have to really buck up. So I have to refocus my energy. And sitting at the drawing board with nothing except a whole bunch of opinionated views. People looking at me like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? What have you become? All of that kind of twisted out to put me in a spot where my back was against the wall. So I'm with 4 friends. One friend is a college graduate, my man Rue. My other friend, Viandi, we grew up together. Jay Boogs, and my man Smooth, who was a college friend of Jason. We spent this whole summer together when I was like 23 to 24, and we were all trying to make something happen in our own respective rights. So we met up at my house every day, and we would eat together and we would talk, and we all tried to figure out what our calling was. And I'm over here trying to figure out, like, I'm at nothing now. I got no clients. I got nothing. I'm trying to figure out how I can go back and not work at somebody's barbershop or not work at the barbershop and still be able to, target clients, but bring my value up, because I'm not settling for it. I'm seeing women paying for haircuts. I'm seeing men paying for haircuts on Newberry Street just because it's Newberry Street, $50. And the work is not matching up to what I'm putting out.
Yeah.
So I decided I got to do something to separate myself. I can't just be a barber sitting duck. Well, okay, boom. What if I made house calls? What if I went to somebody's house and did cuts? Started to develop a little bit more. I started looking at these. And this was in 2015, maybe the year before. Those transit vans just started coming out.
Yeah.
So it went from the box van, Scooby Doo van, to these things that were more for technical, more for carpentry, and hence you guys will see when I open up my tool my stations for barbers are carpentry stations.
Wow. Okay.
I kind of didn't even put that all together until right now, but it was like I took a tool truck and I started to look at the model of it, and I was like, could I put a barbershop inside of a place and bring the barbershop to you? That's what I did. My cousin he had a little bit of credit. I had nothing. No credit, no money, no nothing. I'm trying to pitch this idea to everybody. I'm trying to draw it on a piece of paper. I'm trying to let everybody know.
Sometimes you got to draw it out.
This could happen. It could be real.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at the tiniest truck they got.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna do. Fast forward a little bit of time, I started looking into the right model, and I got a couple of people to believe in me, including my cousin. We went and we just went like as if I was purchasing a car, and he signed as a co-signer and got me a van. We just got the van, we put down the money, whatever. We borrowed $35,000 cash from a man. And when you borrow that type of money, not a lot of people may know, but you're paying this crazy interest.
Absolutely.
It's like you put yourself in the mud.
For sure.
Now, when I went and did this, I was already stuck. Like I had to make this pop. I had to make it happen.
Yeah.
I met some other people. They pitched me like a branding scheme or whatever. I had a kid come with me and really help me with all the technical stuff because I didn't finish college. I didn't know nothing about paperwork.
Yeah.
And fast forward through all of that, everything kind of came to fruition. I kind of got baited into a couple of things that I didn't know about because I wasn't knowledgeable and I was just trying to like do my own thing.
Yeah.
So it made things a little bit harder. I blew my nut with all that money that I got, but in the grand scheme, I ended up with a truck. I ended up with a mobile barbershop with nobody to put in it. And then I was like, okay, now I got something. Now I can try to figure out whether or not I can scale this thing and charge the money that I think I deserve.
Yeah.
But you got to think about it too. I'm only one person. I'm one person in one barbershop in one chair that only one person cuts like me that I know that I cut like me.
Yeah.
So now you got a loan of $35K plus interest.
Yeah.
You got the bills that come along with the month, the commercial auto. I made a mobile barbershop without knowing that mobile barbering was illegal in the state of Massachusetts.
Wow. One of my questions was like, what even sparked? I've never seen a mobile barber in my life until I was like, introduced to your stuff, your IG. Like, so obviously you was plotting, you came up with these ideas, and now you're finding out that it's illegal.
It's illegal because I was really researching deeper into like LA. I seen a guy who did it independently in LA. He did his own little custom thing.
Okay.
Older guy, Twain's cutting up. He's he does some like some celebrity Cedric the Entertainer stuff like that. And then I started to look into like maybe more like of a basic scheme. I saw people who were trying to do it, but nobody was really doing it branded. Like, nobody was like, let me grab this thing and try to make 1 million of them. I was looking in Los Angeles. I wasn't thinking like this is gonna be a code or a rule. I wasn't into all that. So by the time I start doing it, I'm meeting I met a kid from Bentley, and he wanted to do something similar, but he didn't actually have the truck idea or none of that. And he wasn't a barber. He was just a smart kid, texting. So he wanted to make an app. So we linked up. We're gonna try to put the app to the barbershop. When you're starting business and when you're doing stuff, especially with young people who have never been in business, you don't know two things. You don't know that you're nobody in business until you've done business.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not allowed to receive money from the bank until you've been in business. Well, this is built for us to fail. This is set up, and these are the things that when you in your years in high school, they're not teaching you. There's no teachers telling you this.
Yeah, for sure.
So how am I gonna know this? I go in. Everybody thinks that they're worth 50, 40, 30, 75% of something, not knowing what it took for you to get that. So boom, I'm like this. Okay, maybe I'm not like self-sufficient to where I can go build this app or go build my following or make this all happen by myself, but I'm for damn sure not gonna sell my soul to do it. I'm not gonna give it all away to do it. So once I finally got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not doing this no more. I started to do corporate business. I started reaching out to businesses and trying to go to businesses and cut people, which I'm still just doing 3 haircuts a day. I'm just paying the bills, but I'm frustrated.
So how did you overcome that hurdle of it being illegal? When did you find that out even?
So I started to tap in more with like the state board and stuff like that, and started to like read and research. And I went to a couple meetings with the state board, and I was trying to figure it out. And it just so happens that there was another business that was trying to do it right before me. And he's actually from Boston.
Wow.
It's called Mobile Cuts Boston.
Wow.
Yep.
It's a big truck, right?
Big truck.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Big gray joint.
Yep, I've seen it.
So just like everything that I wanted to do, I was like, I'm gonna take things that I like and take things that I don't like, and I'm gonna be different from them. So I made myself completely different, but people feel inferior regardless. Nobody wants to give out their recipe when they got the secret sauce. Nobody wants to do that. And nobody wants to tell you what you're doing wrong or whatever. So he's there in the meetings, I'm there in the meetings. We see each other, but we don't see eye to eye because everybody's trying to protect theirs.
For sure.
That was really it. And thank God, like I was just right at the cusp of where mobile barbering was starting to finally be introduced, but not because of the trucks, but because people wanted to go from B to B, business to business, like I was doing, but just go inside of somebody's business. And in order to do that, it was illegal. Manicure, all of that, it was illegal. So people are getting frustrated. We're doing this illegally, but we want to be able to do it. So thank God for all the people that push for that. Fast forward now with the Commonwealth, it's legal.
Okay. How long?
That's
Can we get a round of applause for that? That's
absolutely.
So
because you just paved the way.
For sure.
For a whole bunch of people, like they're gonna have to, sure. they owe you 5%. Like,
or name that law after you.
You know what I mean? Name the bill, whatever it was.
No, I definitely don't want to take any credit for that because there was people that was putting in sweat before I did it. I just got lucky.
They didn't see it through.
It's a domino though. It's like a domino. Somebody lays that first domino, and then you laid yours. That was important to get that thing through the way.
Yeah, and you was hungry enough to actually see it through. You didn't like quit or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I respect that.
And so with that first model, I did everything bare bones, but it was enough to where I was able to market to who I wanted. Now, I told everybody when I first started this thing that I wanted to cut athletes and I wanted to do stuff like that.
So you already had that in your mind?
I already had that in my mind because when I was working on Moody Street, I had cut a couple guys. Marshawn Brooks was one of the first guys that really, helped me out and started to hang with me. I was 20 and he started to hang with me, and he was a Celtic. Jordan Crawford was his friend, and I was chopping them. They're like, man, he's nice.
How did you even get? Sorry to cut you off, but how did you even get introduced to them? What was the
being in the second chair, being the one that got to speak English?
Oh, okay,
Jordan walked in one day, got a line from me. Marshawn got a line from my man. Jordan started to come to me. Then Jordan called me, told me to come to his house in the apartment in Needham. I go chop him in Needham. Then Marshawn was there. I chopped Marshawn and Jordan. And, you know, they got traded or whatever. Yeah. Phil Presley, I went to high school with.
Jordan Crawford.
Shout out to Jordan Crawford.
Both of them, man.
Y'all was playing great for the C's during that time, too.
Definitely. We remember all of our Celtics, man. Definitely.
Yeah, no, Marshawn is still a bucket. I still talk to him every now and again. Jordan, you already know he's Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so from there, it was like, okay, I know more or less what I want to do. And when I was able to go and figure out where the athletes are really at, like, I know the athletes.
So now you got a taste for it.
I got a taste for it. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do because I know what it brings. And I brought my truck and I parked my truck outside of Storyville.
Wow.
The club. I'm at the nightclub.
Yeah.
Me and my man pull up in the nightclub and I see all these guys, the 2015-16 Celtics, Jay Crowder, Terry Rozier, all these dudes coming out the club. And Terry Rozier saw it. And he didn't say nothing to me at the moment or anything. And I guess he must have had it in his mind. Now, I went to go play basketball a week later on a Tuesday at this gym. And I met...
Wait, sorry. I got to bring it back to the Storyville situation. So, like, it's a let-out, and there's a barber shop outside.
People are jumping in the truck. Girls are coming over to the truck like, oh, my God, this is awesome. Trying to get in. There's music on.
So you was really on some guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, some people, like, you know... They full of themselves, so they're like, oh, I'm too good to do some shit like that. Like I don't want people to see me. Even though you're trying to promote yourself, sometimes people make me feel I'm too good to do something. But you just didn't fuck you. Like you was I gotta get it.
Yeah, no, I had to because I knew like the demographic of the people that I was trying to attack is between the ages of 21 and 40, and that's where they're at the club.
Wow,
You're at the club, and then athletes. You know, that's their downtime. They go, they get.
That's crazy because I'm like really thinking to myself, how many times have we been rushing to get a lineup to go to the club? Like, imagine just pulling up. Like, before I even go to the club, I go to you, get a lineup, and I'm right to the door. That's
Which
crazy.
I thought that's what I was gonna be doing. You know what I mean? Like I thought that was the angle for this whole thing. But you know, I soon realized after that, you know, that doesn't cover volume, and it's not practical because nobody wants to be in the club dancing itchy. That doesn't work.
So back to your story.
Terry Rozier.
So I went and I played ball on a Tuesday, and I happened to get introduced to this kid named Greg, who now I know him as Gunna Man. And he was like, "Oh, what do you do?" Like me and him were the only two people at the court at the time. It was some terrible run. I went for some cardio. Me and him were the only two people on the court that can actually play a little bit. So he's like, "Oh, yo, pretty good. Like, where you at? Like, how do you know, what do you do?" And so he was like, "Yo, my brother, he plays basketball." He's like, "Yo, why don't you come give him a lineup?"
Wow.
I go give him a lineup. And it just so happens to be this young kid, Terry Rozier.
Wow.
And I didn't know who he was because this was the time when he was in that little summer league phase where he hit that big shot. And he was so quiet. He didn't say nothing. He just got a cut. I cut him and his cousin, and then I got a call back. He must have liked it. He liked the fact that I was pulling up on him.
Yeah.
Spread like wildfire. Put me on with Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. From then I ended up taking care of those 4 or 5 guys. But at the time, you got to think the other 15 athletes are getting taken care of by somebody else.
For sure.
So now I'm in like I only got these rooks, so I can't really push myself too hard. But I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to make it beneficial.
We're at this specific time. Where are you, like, not financially, but mentally too? You know what I mean? Like, where are you? You know how like sometimes things can be on the rise, but your personal life could be like not in shambles, but still a little rocky. Like, where are you right now?
Like you mentioned, you was frustrated before, even though you was doing 3 cuts per day. Like, where's your mindset at now?
Yeah, so like I said, you know, I'm down to lose for a little bit. I can lose for a little bit, so I wasn't super frustrated.
You're used to it,
right? I was used to it. So I was ready to go out and cut at 3 a.m. No barbers, or not a lot of barbers at the time, are willing to do that. I was given a little bit of advice from one of the guys who was cutting them at the time, And you know, he was just like pretty much told me, like, his name is Josue. He told me, you know, like, they have needs. They have a lot of needs, and they you know, they can get not abusive, but they don't have super regard for your time and the way that you do things. So just don't let it eat you up. Don't let it consume you. Now, I kind of took that advice, but at the same time, when you try to get somewhere, you still, if you're on command like that, you're on command.
Yeah.
I was pulling up to Marcus Smart's house at 2 o'clock in the morning, club let out, and they're talking about, let me get a cut. Whatever, I'm there.
Yeah.
They having 5 people in the truck, we partying, whatever, I'm doing the cuts. So it was cool. But, you know, you start to run yourself dry because I'm out till 3 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm waking up at 11.
Yeah.
It creates a shitstorm for people turning up. They forget. Like, I did 3 haircuts and I may have made $100 that night.
Yeah.
That's gone in my gas and my breakfast. Gone.
Yeah.
So it was just like one of those things where it did become frustrating after a while. And you can only do so many cuts and not get somewhere. So I started to, like, you know, try to channel my focus on other people, you know, not just athletes. But I made personal relationships. I started to hang out with them. So that kind of made business a little bit easier. I was their barber, and I was chefing them up right, so they weren't going off in other directions. They started to, Terry took pride in giving me to other NBA players. He wanted to put me on. That was his thing. Here we go. Marcus wanted to put me on. He wanted me to be better. And I thought at the time that them paying me or them giving me money or helping me or you know, any of these guys have the influence to grow your business in 20 seconds. I thought that was gonna, but nah, their lack of giving me was what kind of made me stronger. That's what made my business, you know, a little bit more, you know, grounded.
What you mean by lack of giving me,
like they didn't just hand me a check.
Oh, okay.
They didn't just tell me like, yo, you know what, let me just pay off your debt. Like they didn't just do that. Yeah. So they made me like, okay, the whole world is seeing this. They're seeing the marketing now. They're seeing like, this is the influence that cutting these people is gonna get. But everybody from the outside looking in, not paying attention to the fact that you guys are looking at me like maybe I got $1 million myself. But I'm just cutting a guy with $1 million. So, you know, it was frustrating there to kind of like see
the perception
where I was really at versus where they thought I was at.
You could fall into the hype.
Easily. Which I didn't, because I kind of cut out the hype in that little 22 to 26 range. Now I'm dealing with a bunch of athletes who are 21. 20, but they're older, so you know, and they have money, and they have like, you know, they have like a little bit more firmness to them. So we're amongst each other as if we brothers. Like, like I'm cool, I'm funny, whatever, joke dude. So they take me as that.
I was just gonna say that, man. Like, you know, and I'm sure you do give yourself credit for just the relationships you was able to garner, but like all these relationships and the stories I'm hearing is all a reflection on you, bro.
Yeah,
for sure. What I mean? So
being able to maintain it was big.
Absolutely.
Fast forward to now, it's like, you know, I grew it to, like I told you, I'm the guy cutting 14 athletes or plus a whole G League team. And people, they confide in me. I go into the Celtics locker room. I walk around the locker room as if I got a jersey. You know what I mean? Like, I walk around as if I'm the training staff, and I'm amongst them, and they joke with me, they talk with me, and you know, Barbers will the players will try to take the Clippers and mess around or whatever. So nobody ever got a chance to develop that. I never seen nobody in this city that was respectively taking care of the majority of them and got to be personable with them.
So do you ever get a chance to reflect? Like,
course.
See how far you came and still stay persistent and hungry?
Yeah, of course. Like, especially now, like with us sitting right in here, this is my space that I was helped achieve by having those relationships and by staying down. You got to stay down. Like, if you think that you're gonna start something and then be worth 100,000 that day, you got another thing coming. People will instantly be reluctant to working with you if you think that your value is too high. I'll do free haircuts all day. I'll do a charity event. I will go out and if I got to cut an athlete, the thing about cutting athletes, I never said I need 250, I need 500. I never put a price on it. I let them feel comfortable with what I was giving them, and boom, then it made them want to give me more.
Absolutely.
You know, if you backtrack to some of the hardest times in this transition, it was a hard time for all Boston sports. Kyrie, with Kyrie being here, and me becoming the guy who cut Kyrie's hair after him he didn't want to deal with me. He didn't want me to cut his hair.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't want me to cut his hair.
You know, it's
Because I remember that. Go ahead.
I was feeling some type of way when I saw it. When I went through your IG, I was tight to cut Kyrie.
But it was wasn't it before
like,
it was before everything was, because I remember your picture was actually on Bleacher Report.
Yeah,
I remember that. So that was like kind of before that whole whatever happened.
And what was that interaction with him, dude?
so
like,
it was all prior to like everything kind of falling down. And now I just want to remind you guys all, like the world too, like these athletes are human.
They're people,
absolutely.
And a
You
lot
guys
of
don't
them,
know.
they're human, and a lot of them are a lot cooler and a lot better people than Bleacher Report and Woj and
sure.
Shams. Like, then they're gonna play them out to be
Yeah.
Stephen A. But that's what makes the world go around. Like, this is
the media, yeah.
this is a big industry, and it's very influential, especially as we grow.
Yeah.
So Kai is, to you guys or to, you know, Boston, maybe the worst thing in the world, but he was somebody who came in at a difficult time in my life and was like, okay, you know, just for this 1 hour, maybe you're my barber, but you're friends with my friend. You're friends with my family. When you come here, you treat me respectfully, and I'm gonna show the same love back. I'll never forget it. And
Shout out to you, Kyrie. I take back everything I said.
so when he did that, me and my wife was driving a beat up 07 Highlander. Started to, like, you know, put my things in order. Between him and Smarty being cool, and me and Smart always took care of me. T-Row always took care of me. Smart took care of me even more, and T-Row took care of me even more because Kai was taking care of me. So it helped me grow.
Wow.
It was like a trend thing.
Yeah.
And they were in different places in their career. Kai was already way bigger.
Max
in his
contract.
career. Right.
Yeah.
Superstar.
And these young guys, they weren't where they needed. Now they're all where they need to be, you know, through blessing and through their hard work. Now this year, to see the chemistry change and how it affected my career was crazy. I didn't realize it. Then Kemba coming in and being a breath of fresh air for you guys, and you know, for me as well, it helped even Smarty, his attitude with the team. It helped all the young guys' attitudes with the team. It helped all their willingness to be on the same page and work together. Now JT, he has his own barber since he was a kid, but
he look like he every 2 hours.
yeah, he's fresh. But if he don't get chopped by his barber,
Yeah.
he'll come to me. I'm the other person that he trusts.
Yep.
And we've developed a friendship, like a cool friendship. I cut his whole family. Like when
Wow.
when his step pops come, he
Yeah.
gets cut by me. When his whole family come into town, they get cut by me.
Okay.
So it's like we got that mutual love and respect,
Yeah.
and all these dudes, they just follow code, they follow suit.
Yeah.
Yo, this is my man. He cuts like this. I notice a lot of things is that if you notice who I cut, you notice like the guys that I cut a lot of brothers. I cut a lot of, you know, ethnic hair. Probably just because all of the other guys, they see who cuts their hair, and they're like, okay, maybe he
That's
cuts,
who I'm supposed to go.
yeah, maybe he cuts my hair that way. Haven't really got a fair shot at that, but
Yo, Ennis Canton, man, holla at my man.
Come on, dog.
See you on his page, bro.
I'm going to Supercuts.
There's
Supercuts is not a real spot.
No, there's a lot of that, and that's the other thing is there's a lot of love out there for everybody. And Gordon has a barber who has made a lot of influence and a lot of impact, not only on himself and his business and his industry, the industry. You know, so he is one of the first guys that took a brand in a barbershop and really inspired that. For me, as a young guy, it was competition.
Yeah.
But then once I started to realize, well, you know what, Cole, like, you're great in your own right.
Sure.
It became like, what can I learn from him, and what can he learn from me? So we reach out back and forth and we have conversations. Shout out to Josue at Titletown.
Shout out to you, bro.
And all the other guys. Gusto on Main Street rebranded. He just rebranded his barbershop and he stuck with code. All these people that trying to do something different, that's what I respect. All the crab in the bucket mentality, you know, yeah, whatever, you got to make your money.
Okay.
But I respect the growth. I respect the person that's trying to do something and understand that there's not a lot of stylists in the world. You have to take stylists and worry about outside feedback and try to hone them and make sure that you got people who are learning and still reciprocating great work. For you to take that leap of faith and for you to not worry about outside criticism, because you're gonna get it.
For sure.
And I didn't realize that. I wanted I wanted unscathed criticism. I didn't wanted my rap sheet to be clean. Everybody, but I started to see that's just not how the world works.
Definitely not.
And back on, like, I'm curious because I always wondered if there was a camaraderie between different barbers. Do you pay attention to what other barbers are doing, or you don't even pay attention? You just stay in your own lane. But it sounds like you get inspiration from other people, seeing how they building their brands. You know what I mean?
So yeah, like I said, like I've gotten into almost like barber wars. Like it all sounds so primitive and stupid, but at the time, like, one client will come to you and go back to another person, or you can make a post about something and everybody's in competition, so they look at it as if it pertains directly to them. So that sparked a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And for me to come out now as a business owner and somebody who reciprocates growth, like, dead that I'm trying to feed my kids, and I'm trying to make sure that the person in the chair next to me can feed their kids, and so on and so forth, and grow themselves. So like, I don't want that. I don't want none of that type of like, if we all work together, shit's gonna go crazy. That's why a lot of artists, music artists, guys like Millie's Fast Crew, they had a hard time, but they made it because they started to branch out and show love to each other. A lot of artists don't make it because they only get love from certain people. People try to put you down. People move to LA and the love is so broad, and Boston is hard. It's hard to make it out of because you got so much stiff, stern respect on stuff, and so much like, well, I ain't rocking with that because he's doing it. But that's not how it's supposed to be.
And I love coming from Boston because it's so hard and difficult to make it through. You know what I mean? So, like I said at the beginning, like, that's why we hold you to, like, not a high regard, but that's why we have even so much more respect for you, because it's like you was able to fight through those barriers and you went through the trenches, but you're the boss. Like, you cut the Boston Celtics. Like, that's big. If I'm especially coming from where we come from. And shout out to the Celtics too, and the organization and all the players, because it's like you were able to do it from the ground up. Like, these are rookies. These were people in the G League, Terry Rozier, Marcus Smart, rookies, young players, but now they're getting these contracts. Jaylen Brown. Like, these are players that are developing, and now they were young players. Now they're key assets to the team, to the organization. And you're going to be growing with them just like when they grow. You know what I mean? So that's really the dope thing about it.
Yeah, like, shout out to Smart, really, because, like, throughout all of this stuff, like, if it wasn't for, like, when Kai left and stuff like that, a lot of people kind of channeled their anger towards me. You got to think about that. I was the only direct
person to vent to.
I was the only direct tie that they had. So I felt like even sometimes walking into the organization, like walking into the Celtics thing, I'm like, man, people are kind of like treating me different because I was Kai's barber.
Wow.
Like, so Smarty helped revive that. Smarty put trust in me, and he always gave me the right advice, and he helped all this stuff come together. And now that he was in a better place, just like you guys were saying, contract time came, he's in a better place. His whole young game changer mentality, it pertains to everything, whether it be charity or whether it be growth of business, and his people, that Rick Ross mentality, he's putting that to use, and you're seeing it through direct example right here. We wouldn't be sitting in this room right now if it wasn't for that direct mentality. So I love that. I thrive off that. Shout out to all the guys, like the whole team.
Shout out to Smart. Shout out to Gunnerman, Terry, like,
Kemba, all them dudes.
I'm learning about all the stuff they did for you here, but I've paid attention to them. They've definitely embraced the city. I've seen them at certain events, coming out and supporting for sure different entrepreneurs that's in the city. You know what I mean? I don't know if you want to transition into this. We got a good background about how you started, how you got into barbering and your journey in the barbering. Now we're sitting in your establishment.
How we get here?
You know what I mean? Like, as entrepreneurs, creators, whatever it may be, we're our toughest critics. Sometimes we don't get that full fulfillment. You know what I mean? Sometimes I bet there's probably times you're like, yo, I'm not doing enough. But the people around you are like, yo, are you kidding me? You doing this, that. But like, nah, I'm not. Because you're still not fulfilled.
Right.
Are you finally fulfilled? Or is there even more you got to do?
Absolutely not fulfilled, because and you know, coming back to that, my biggest enemy has been idle time.
Idle time is the devil's playground.
Right, and so like to have weeks where you're not doing stuff and weeks where you're not growing per se, in my mind, like, you know, the way that I am progressive, it hurts. It would hurt, but I like the people around me who are a little bit more slow paced. They help me think about my blessings and how all of them have came so full circle. So even though maybe I'm not doing that, but just even having a conversation with y'all or with somebody else, that's part of my growth. Like, that's part of my not idle time.
Yeah.
And that's what this has all become. So now I will be fulfilled when everything is running smooth and I see, you know, the growth of my next spot that I have in mind, and the another mobile barbershop. Like, as I grow into that, and I get to start to, you know, to grow this industry and be part of one of the catalysts that grow this industry out here, just like the other guys are doing that I'm watching around me, and have had opportunities different to mine. We all got a different story, but we all have a common goal.
So where are we right now? Let's get back to, let's come to current things going on. Where are we now? Describe where we are. Describe what this is gonna be. Talk to us about it.
So this right here is, some may say, long overdue.
Yeah.
This is a spot where I'm more so in love with it because of what it could be. This is not a barbershop by any means. This is a creative space. My mobile barbershop was never just a barbershop. It did so many things for so many hours that were more than just that. This is a place where I want you to feel comfortable. This is a place where I want you to come out with a fresh cut. This is a place where I want you to come express yourself. This is a place where I want you to come and get a picture taken, or listen to a song, or record a podcast, or just come in and be yourself. Maybe I'm gonna have merchandise coming out of here. A lot of merchandise that only I can probably tap into.